This is the 2022 new version of the MG ZS. There are some things that change it from the previous model that was out about a year and a half ago. It's still one of the most affordable electric new cars on the market today in Ireland. And in Europe, in the category, it was among the top 10 best-selling EVs of 2021. So the new version has a slightly different grille at the front for just the EV version of it. Your port is opened here. It was in the actual MG badge, if you remember, in the old model, so that's now gone, which some people still don't like because if the car gets hit at the front, that's going to be damaged. It'll take about 10 hours to charge on a wall box. It'll take 34-ish on a 3-pin plug. And if you find a 100 kilowatt charge, you'll be able to charge it to 80% in 42 minutes. The battery size is 72.6 kilowatt hours. It's usable of almost 69 kilowatt hours. And the only time I've charged this car in a week of driving was at home. Once I put almost 56 kilowatt hours into it. Multiply that by around 20 cents per kilowatt hour, and that'll give you an idea of how much it costs to charge an EV. And you can see, is it actually a lot cheaper than the price of petrol or diesel, which today kind of anything is. Exciting and exclusive are the two trim levels, 31,995 for the entry, just over 35 if you want the more expensive one, which comes with blind spot, keyless, roof rails. The alloys are now slightly different on the car, and it's broken up by this silver splitter along the sill at the side. But side on, it still kind of looks the same. The rear of the MG though is a little bit different. Down here is slightly different with the bumper changing. The badge is still the same. The lights on the front are LEDs, but not on the back. And the boot is not bad. It's like a hatchback style size boot. There is somewhere to store cables and things underneath this shelf that very easily just comes out and gives you a deeper boot if you did want to do that, but you'd be resting things on top of all the stuff down here, including your cables. You may not want to do that. And the lip isn't too bad. There is a lip of sorts, but you know, it's not gigantic for lifting things out. Pets are able to climb over it. I tried it with my dog. Ugh. There is a handle, but it's over this side. Back of the MG comes well equipped, to be honest with you. 2 USB charging points. There is an armrest with cup holders in it. Even with the glass roof on the more expensive model, there's good head height going on in the back of the car. Legroom is reasonably good, and the seats are comfortable. They're a bit missing from the back of the seat in terms of thigh support, if I was to just mention something in a negative way. The leather seats aren't actually leather, they're plastic, but they feel pretty comfortable actually. I like the steering wheel. It's got little bits of perforations on it and red stitching, and it feels good. It doesn't feel cheap at all. There's a nice weighting to it. The jog wheel style gear selector is still there. You'll get wireless charging on the more expensive model of the car. They all get an app where you can preheat the car, check the status of the battery on it, demist the windscreen. You can do all those things from the app, and all models of the new MG ZS will get that. Both cars also got MG Pilot, which depending on which model you get will have rear traffic cross monitoring. That's the more expensive model, but you get blind spot. It can detect pedestrians and frontal collision avoidance, so there's really good safety features on it, including when you're indicating, the blind spot of the car will display on the screen here, so it just gives you a better idea of where your wheels are if there was something very small out of your blind spot. It's a nice little feature, and for the money on the price of this car, which isn't actually even quite 35 grand after the grants, you don't get that. Like that's pretty handy feature. Power output is 156 brake horsepower. It'll take over 8 seconds to get to 60. It's not a rocket ship, but it always feels like it has good amounts of power. When I tested the first generation of this electric version of the car, I found the lane keep just very intrusive. It works an awful lot better on this newer version of the car. Some other things that are going on down here, you've got USB-C and USB charging. They have another USB port in the style of Skoda, putting one in here for your dash cam. So there's some little clever tricks as well for people that are using this car as a mobile office. We've got the usual 2 cup holders down here and a decent size armrest going on also. If you'd like to pre-program your charging of the car, you can set that up easily enough. There's been 1 or 2 occasions where the volume hasn't gone past 6 and I've had to turn the car on and off again. but generally the infotainment system has been bug-free. There's shortcut buttons below it if you want to do simple things like turn on and off your aircon and increase your volume when it actually wants to go up. So there's other little features that are also just, it's a vastly improved screen compared to what it was on the previous model. It just looks far better. Same with the display on the dashboard, and this one is just over 10 inches and it'll take CarPlay and Android and all the good stuff as well. And the interior quality, it's really not bad, you know. Like, yes, you get a sense that some of this stuff is fake and all and cheap and plasticky, but I really don't think you could complain. The indicator is still pretty loud, that I find in the car. So MG will claim you'll do a range of up to 440 kilometers. Now, my experience with having a full charge at, what temperature are we at? It's cold enough, 6 degrees right now. There's the rear traffic monitoring going on now, which was just picking up a vehicle, not even going my direction, but behind the car. And it is a really great feature. If you're reversing into driveways and things, it just gives you that extra reassurance. Anyway, the range, about 340 kilometers was what I was, getting on a full charge. In terms of energy consumption, about 22 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. That's over the last 700 kilometers. And that is thirsty enough. You get 3 levels of regen braking. Doesn't quite have a one pedal effect, but not far off it on level 3, I find. It's a very quiet car to be behind the wheel of, particularly I'm doing 60 kilometers per hour now. Very slight bit of tyre noise, little bit of wind going over the A-pillars, but nothing really remarkable at all. There's a good bit of feedback through the steering wheel, you can feel what way, 1, the car is pointed, and 2, what kind of road surfaces you're cruising over. And it's just a very easy car to drive. It's very relaxing. One thing that I find is a little bit strange, sometimes when you're moving away from maybe a set of lights, you press the accelerator and there's just a little bit of hesitancy until the motor gets going. For in-gear acceleration though, find it very, very good. Doesn't feel underpowered. As I mentioned earlier on the videos, almost 160 brake horsepower. It is 40 odd down on something like the ID3, ID4 for example, in their more powerful motor versions anyway. And if you have an MG ZS, what is your energy consumption, particularly if you've had one in summertime? I know no one will have had this newer version of the car last summer. Probably very few people anyway, as far as I'm aware. Didn't go on sale in Ireland officially until early 2022. And even in the last version, what was your real world range? That's always very helpful to the people that are researching a model like this. Just saying, okay, I know what the manufacturer says, I'll get it on a really good day down a really big hill, but what's it really like? If you can help with that question, please do comment below. It's quite a good road surface I'm on here, but it really is very well behaved. I'm really impressed. I do have it on level 3 for a regen, and I'm just coming up to a junction here now, and it's the very last few seconds of coming to a halt that I need to actually press the brake. Now there is a bit of wheel spin there, all right, so there's enough power going through those front wheels, I suppose. Not any different to something like the Kia e-Niro that I found was the exact same in that department though. There's that little gap of hesitancy right there as I floored it, which you probably won't hear on camera, but I was looking at that car coming towards me going, come on little fella, come on. I get it though. If you look at the price of this car and you compare it to a petrol or diesel equivalent, what are you getting for that? And I get some people will prefer something from Germany or Korea, and China is a different place for a car to come from in some respects in Ireland. But I think there's definitely warrant in this, and if you just want a car and you really don't care where it's coming from, you just want a car that's affordable and has a warranty and will get your entire family around, and especially if you're just curious about the EV route, it is still a very small proportion of all new cars sold in Ireland. That's a fact. But it's an area that's just going to keep on growing over the next 2 years. So I think more than ever, especially when there's cars like this on the market at this price, you kind of have to take it seriously and just say, what can I get for that money compared to what I've usually thought I can get for that money? And I think that's a good way of looking at the ZS and just seeing what else is out there for the same or similar price, especially if a new car is more important to you than used. To sum up, it's a really great electric solution if you'd like to go electric at a relatively affordable price. I know 35,000 for the top spec, it's still not cheap money, but compared to so many other cars in the market with arguably less features as standard, like the vehicle to load that's on this car, cars like the Ioniq 5 and the EV6 will get that, but this undercuts them in the price. You've also got a 7-year warranty which competes with Kia. And some people may not remember the original MG brand, not that this has really anything to do with that anymore, so I get that for some people it might be an unfamiliar badge. I will say this though, the Skoda Octavia was once the taxi driver's choice of wheels. Have a look next time you're on the road at how many taxi drivers are driving these, and I feel if they're good enough for those lads and ladies, then it really probably will do the job for you and your family also. If you've got comments or questions, that's what the comment section is for. Don't forget we are a fully independent YouTube channel. You can tip us with PayPal, you can subscribe on Patreon, you can just subscribe to the channel in general if you haven't done so yet, and if we've helped you narrow this car down, ruled it in or out, well, if you'd like to support us, they are the ways you can do it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.